Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. President William Samoei Ruto must be looking back in retrospect, and he is now coming to terms with the fact that Uhuru Kenyatta was indeed a very patient boss. Because when they fell out, Uhuru would have attempted even to bribe MPs to impeach William Ruto. But Uhuru was very patient. William Samoei Ruto impeached his deputy, and there is a very sour blood between them. Both of them have said before that their lives were in danger. When William Ruto insinuated that Rigathi Gachagua wanted to topple his government through Gen Zs, in other words, he was simply saying that this man wanted to kill him. Rigathi Gachagua, more than twice, is now alleging that William Ruto has orchestrated a plan to poison him. The first one was food, then this one was, I don't know, some through chemical means. And Rigathi Gachagua is out to prove a point. When Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, there was a bit of tranquility in the larger Mount Kenya region, something that the proponents of this impeachment said that was tantamount to Rigathi being inept, being inactive, Rigathi being someone that does not attract support from Mount Kenya. Because they were saying, had that one been Raila who was impeached or William Ruto, then their backyard would be burning. So the people of Mount Kenya kept quiet, and they realized that this was being taken as being weak. The government interpreted their peace and tranquility to mean that they were weak. So the first time Rigathi Gachagua went for an event, a burial event in Limuru, and goons invaded that event, they knew it was time to react. And Rigathi Gachagua is even reminding them that you should now come out and show the government that they cannot impeach me, you keep quiet, then they try to apprehend me and you also keep quiet.
Na mimi nimwambie William Ruto, wewe umezoea kutisha watu, kushika watu. Ati wewe unataka kushika Rigathi Gachagua. Itawezekana? Itawezekana? Mnasema ajaribu? Hata saa hii tumepata habari ile gavana ya Trans Nzoia anaitwa George Natembea ati wanataka kushika yeye. Mimi namwambia watu wangu hapa Murang'a, wakishika Natembea hata sisi tutafuka barabara tusimamishe hii Kenya. Tumekubaliana? Unajua huyu Kasongo ametuchukua ufala. Alinifukuza kazi mkanyamaza kweli? Kati huo gemora mtikarehena mwana kana moine naguo.
So with that statement, the government made good their threat to try and arrest Rigathi Gachagua. And the people of Mount Kenya also made good their threat to go to the street. This time round, they never wanted to allow the government to misinterpret their peace to mean that they are weak. And so they thronged the streets from Githurai to Karatina, all the way to Nyeri. In fact, the whole of yesterday was full of chaos and confusion. There was a lot of chaos in the streets. But William Ruto did not want to sit back and watch Rigathi Gachagua taking over Mount Kenya. So he wanted to silence the confusion, the demonstrations, just to show the country that Rigathi Gachagua is not such a very powerful person. So what did William Ruto do? He decided to send the Madeira Member of Parliament, Eric Wamumbi. Remember, Rigathi Gachagua was also a member of Parliament of Madeira constituency. So there was some ugly confrontation between Eric Wamumbi's supporters and Rigathi Gachagua's supporters. Wamumbi's supporters were overpowered and they were overthrown.
itaisha. Ndio maana tunasema ni one term.
I have decided I will man this town myself with the traders of this town and Gen Zs of this town. There is no one we are going to allow to cause chaos in this town. Yes. There are people who wanted to create a little bit of chaos, but we are not going to allow them. This is a peaceful town. Yes. Traders of this town are going to do their business peacefully without interruptions. Yes. If anyone wants to do mandamano, they can do it in their home. Yes. I heard the former deputy president saying that he was sent policemen at his home in Wamunyoro. That is a lie. There were no police officers. No single police officer who have been sent to Wamunyoro home. It is a lie. He just wants to incite the people. These people are busy working. They want me to work for them with the government they elected.
Eric Wamumbi is not a man that is new to controversy. He's been trying to flex his muscles against Rigathi Gachagua, but his political muscles have been broken because this is not the first time. There was a time when he took on Rigathi Gachagua head on and he said, "We are not supporting Rigathi Gachagua." And on that day, he signed a political obituary.
Ukweli ni kwamba Rigathi Gachagua hajasaidia huyu mama. Na hiyo ndio ukweli. Rigathi Gachagua hajasaidia huyu Tiaribu. Na hajamsaidia na kitu. Na sisi kama watu wa Madera hatuungi Rigathi Gachagua mkono. Sababu aliachilia huyu mama.
After that speech, the next thing that we had was that Eric Wamumbi declared that he was not going to defend his seat, meaning that he had realized that Rigathi Gachagua has taken over the mountain, and he knew very well that even if he tried contesting, he was not going to have the light of day. So many people thought that after the declaration that he was not going to defend his seat, he would let Rigathi be. But he's still being used to try and contain and check Rigathi Gachagua in his own constituency. That is where Rigathi Gachagua is coming from. One thing that we all understand is that for any leader to rise up to become a de facto kingpin, it is not always very easy. There are mountains to climb. For Raila Amolo Odinga, you've had the days of when Nyong'o and Orengo tried to wrestle that power from him. You've seen people like Raphael Tuju trying to do the same, but all of them failed because people must give you that mandate against all odds. And Raila became the political kingpin in Nyanza. If you look at William Ruto, people like Isaac Ruto tried to wrestle that power from him. Alfred Keter tried it, but William Ruto trounced them. He trounced them and he became the de facto leader. But I understand that there is, I don't know, South Rift and North Rift, something of the kind. But if you ask me, William Ruto decided to overcome all the odds and he entrenched himself. He even overthrown people like Gideon Moi, whom people thought could take after the father. Look at Kalonzo Musyoka. The former governors like Gilu, Alfred Mutua, Kivutha Kibwana tried it, but he remained resolute and he told them, "I will still remain the kingpin of this country, of this county." There are people who are still trying to, make their voices be heard, but those de facto leaders have overthrown all the other competitors. So people like Eric Wamumbi are also trying to be the figures that can check Rigathi Gachagua. It cannot happen. One thing that must be understood is that an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped. The government has always told us that it is God who chooses leaders, and a leader can only be one at a particular time. So Eric Wamumbi, and if you ask me, Eric Wamumbi is such a very small figure politically. I think he's biting more than he can chew. Because William Ruto wanted to use him, and I know that money must have been poured somewhere. Because this government does not do anything without giving out money. So the women that I saw there trying to shout might have been given some cash to go and counter Rigathi Gachagua. But it was a backlash. It backfired. One thing that the government is still trying to show people is that Rigathi Gachagua is not such a powerful man. But they know it themselves because Rigathi has taken over. Had they kept quiet, the government would have continued with the argument that, you see, this is a very small man. Now they have woken up because they want to correct the same mistake they did. Immediately Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. The only true competitor that might give Rigathi Gachagua some little problem is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Uhuru is still being felt, maybe through the Jubilee Party, maybe because he warned the people of the mountain, but they didn't listen. And now it is time that they're asking, if we defy Uhuru Kenyatta again, we might have another 5 years of gnashing of teeth and crying, because Uhuru told them, I have worked with this man. We've been in the waters together. And when I tell you that the hippopotamus is sick, you don't have any reason to doubt me. So perhaps Uhuru Kenyatta is the only person who can give Rigathi Gachagua a run for his money, and Rigathi knows it. People like Eric Wamumbi, in as much as they're trying to check Rigathi Gachagua, I'm sure if elections were to be called today, Eric would not defend his seat. No wonder he had even declared that he's not going to contest. And let me tell you, moving forward, there are very many members of parliament today that will declare that they no longer want to contest. Others would switch camp very fast to join Rigathi Gachagua because there is going to be a lineup. This lineup will start as soon as Rigathi launches his party. I understand that the other time that was unveiling, not launching. So immediately Rigathi Gachagua launches his party, that is when Rigathi Gachagua is going to know those who are with him and those who are not with him. And very many members of parliament will either switch camps or decide that I'm not going to contest. There are few who are still going to be given some little money to confuse the mountain. But the mountain has decided and they're not going to look back. So this kind of machinations, this kind of theatrics that Eric Wamumbi was trying to showcase have got very little consequences. The only thing I fear about them is that when you antagonize two groups of different political camps, there can be serious consequences. The last time I checked, in our constitution, there is this freedom of picketing and grouping as long as people don't have any weapons. We really need to be very careful so that the government must not be allowed to be funding parallel groups to counter other groups that are demonstrating peacefully. Sometimes back, Sonko told us that they used to buy merchants and brand them ODM and start causing mayhem and chaos on the streets during, Raila Amolo Odinga supporters protest, so that it will be said that, these are the supporters of the ODM. They can easily do that. The other thing is that when they sponsor goons with branded t-shirts and merchants, then the government will have a reason to stop any kind of gathering. After the sponsored goons have caused chaos, then they will say that, the rallies and meetings are becoming chaotic and therefore they have security reasons to stop those demonstrations. Kenyans must really be very careful so that as you go on demonstrations, you know each other. Otherwise, the government can misuse your image and identity. So, ladies and gentlemen, Eric Wamumbi was chased with all his supporters. And with this, he understands that Rigathi Gachagua is still a heavyweight. And what if Rigathi decides that he now wants to retaliate against Wamumbi? I'm sure Wamumbi can even be chased from his own constituents because Rigathi Gachagua, truth be told, is now the kingpin in the mountain. The more William Ruto tries to frustrate him and apprehend him, the more he becomes big politically. Bonga points inakuja juu. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but the war has just started because Rigathi Gachagua, after launching his party, will go from one town to the other, opening offices. And this is something that William Ruto would not want. So we are going to see how things transpire ahead of 2027.